You're listening to the Youth Critic podcast on KHZ Network. Find us on Facebook at DecibelUNG Radio and find us on Twitter at DecibelUNG.
You're the attorney.
If you like this episode, please leave a like and comment on our iTunes page at KHZ Network.
My father.
And now for the podcast.
Póntelos.
And now you hunt them.
Adios.
There's proof the cartel helped the terrorists get to the border.
The president's adding drug cartels to the list of terrorist organizations.
You can understand how that will expand our ability to combat them.
You want to see this thing through? I'm gonna have to get dirty.
Dirty is exactly why you're here.
You're gonna help us start a war.
With who?
Everyone. No rules this time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Youth Critic podcast. I'm your host, Kale Smith. Joining me this week is Gina Versa from the Waffle Press.
Hey, how you doing? Good to be back. I know, when was the last time I was on this?
I think you were on the Super Mario Brothers retrospective.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Trust the fungus.
Trust the fungus. Always trust the fungus. So today we are going to be talking about Soldado, or also known as Sicario 2, Day of the Soldado, or Sicario 2 Soldado. Just depends on where you're. Just depends. Yeah, this movie's had more titles than Edge of Tomorrow movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say it reminds me of Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah.
Or, what was the other titles it had? All You Need Is Kill.
All You Need Is Kill, and then Live, Die, Repeat is like the one they put on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I kind of like that title better.
Yeah, that is the title of the movie. Well, it's just better than Edge of Tomorrow because.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense if you think about it, but yeah. But I would have liked All You Need Is Kill. I would have been perfectly content, but, I guess we can't sell a movie with the word kill in it.
No, I guess not.
So anyway, before we get into our review of Sicario 2, Gene, what did you think of the first one?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, I love the first Sicario. That was one of my favorite films of 2015. It had such an amazing cast and crew. Denis was the director. This was I think it's right before he did Arrival.
His fourth movie, yes,
Yeah.
Before Arrival.
Right before Arrival. And he was great. He was on fire. Roger Deakins was the DP. Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin. All of it was good. Everyone was good, and it was very relevant to what was going on at the time. And yeah, it's such a powerhouse of a film of that year, and it's probably be one of those films that'll be on top 500 films you have to see before you die or something. Constantly will make those types of lists.
Oh yeah, I think easily that was easily one of the top 5 best movies of that year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved it. I thought it was such a good story from beginning to end. I thought, for me, going into my thoughts on Sicario, because I can't remember, for the first time in forever, I can't remember if we did a podcast on the first movie or not. I want to say we did, but okay. If we did, I'll put a link in the description below. If we did, because I can't remember for the life of me. And it's kind of hard. It's now we've done so many of these episodes. It's kind of even hard to just go back to the early days.
Yeah.
Which, that's just what happens when you've done this for 3 years. But But yeah, Sicario. I loved it. I thought it instantly. I fell in love with it, and I also was a huge Denis Villeneuve fan. I felt like every movie of his was just getting better and better and better. Like I liked Enemy, and I still have not seen Prisoners or Incendies, but I loved. But I really liked Enemy. I think it's a brilliant movie that it's a brilliant film. And then I really love Sicario because of not only of the simple premise, but the character work that's being on display here. Also, I just love the DP work. I love the direction, but also I loved basically the ideas, basically the examination of the war on drugs. Yeah. That was what I took away from it. It was this really good examination of what the war on drugs was, how it began, and basically the current state, and basically it ends with the most bone-chilling, hopeless ending you can imagine, which is the bad guys are gonna basically take over. They're gonna fight. The only way is to fight each other, and the cycle will just keep going and going and going and going until eternity. And that's because that's what the final scene of the movie kind of speaks to me, is that this cycle of the war on drugs, that the cartels are they're gonna find newer people, they're gonna keep influencing the youth, and that's what that final scene is supposed to mean, is that it's just gonna constantly keep going and going. We're gonna have more families either destroyed like Alejandro's, or we're gonna have more fatherless children.
Right. Yeah, it's a very chilling last shot too. You just hear the gunshot in the background.
Yeah, it's just I remember the first time walking out of it like, fuck,
yeah,
damn, it's hopeless. It's a hopeless endeavor. But we have to keep fight. But we have to keep putting materials and resources into that well. So
yeah,
unfortunately, and that's what I took away from it, is basically this great examination of the war on drugs. And with that said, now we go to Sicario 2. Well, before we go, do you have any more thoughts on the first one? Or
no, if you haven't seen it, just see it immediately, I would say.
All right.
Yeah. Anyone else, just see it.
With that, so with Sicario 2, where now it's war on the border, which which I don't know if it's fortunate to this movie's credit or unfortunate, but it's now relevant. It's the most relevant it's ever going to be. Way to go, so I still don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that they came out right as we're dealing with children in concentration camps. And I don't know if it's the best. I don't know if it was the best. I still don't know if it worked or didn't work for their advantage. But man, they really hit the nail on that one. So yeah, we're now on the war on the border. To kind of lead into the movie, there's supposedly terrorists being smuggled in through the Mexican border, and now the Secretary of Defense and Catherine Keener are Catherine Keener. Yeah. Well, what was her character's name? Honestly,
no, I don't remember her name, but I was like, what was she was just kind of a shadowy government operative.
Yeah, she's just there to be the she's just there. She's just there to be the government. Yeah. Her and Matthew Modine, they're just there to represent the government.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really like Catherine Keener, but yeah, she's kind of getting typecast as like shadowy government figure, kind of hard line boss character.
Yeah, she totally forgot her hypnotizing teacup this time.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, she didn't get out.
This war would have been completely. Oh, that's terrible. That's a terrible joke. The war would have been completely won if she had her hit. That's a terrible joke, but but so now, and they hire Mac, played by Josh Brolin, and Alejandro to basically create, basically, as my dad kind of described in this metaphor, move a separate ant bed on top of another ant bed, and then they'll just start fighting each other.
Yeah, they're just trying to create like chaos within the cartels,
which will somehow ultimately end in their demise. So, and that's basically the plot of the movie, is that we need to basically, before the terrorism aspect gets worse, or whatever, we need to like get them to kill each other, which is not a terrible plan, but there are so many ways that this could go wrong.
Yeah.
So, Gene, and unfortunately it does. So with that, Gene, what did you think of Sicario 2 and basically the events of this movie?
Well, as I was watching Sicario 2, I was getting into the movie. I was certainly, I guess, enjoying the viewing experience. It's a hard watch. I don't know if you could say enjoy, but I got into the movie, so I guess it did its job, and it was good to watch in a theater. It's at least something you'd want to see on the big screen, but in the back of your head you're still thinking it feels like a drop in quality based on everyone that kind of left the franchise in between movies from 1 and 2, like Deakins. Obviously, Denis was not going to come back. But you just kind of feel like the movie feels a little empty without like Emily Blunt and like a few other cast and crew. I believe did Sheridan come back?
Did who?
The writer, Taylor Sheridan?
Taylor Sheridan did write the script.
Oh, okay. No mistake. But yeah, even with him, it's something about it just feels a little empty, and I left the theater feeling, I just felt a little underwhelmed by it, and also not because of the departures in the cast and crew. Also, it's just kind of, I would say the first Sicario felt so relevant, and this one it just didn't feel as relevant as it could have been. The production probably started last year, I would say, and there's a lot. Again, like there's only some stuff that started leaking out to the public within this year, but there was a lot more it could have said on how like current events right now, like the border, or it could have had a more weighty and relevant message, and it almost felt like it was trying to not talk about the current administration, and it was trying to avoid that. But if it's affecting like kind of a group of people that centered the movie, the movie centered on, should talk about that.
Yeah, to clarify, Gene, the movie did start production in November of 2016.
Oh, okay.
So over a year and a half ago. Yeah, I agree, because for me the entire time I was with it, because despite it not having the guiding hand of Denis Villeneuve, it still felt well directed. It still felt like there was muscle behind the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I still felt compelled during the action set pieces, and
yeah.
There's a scene in this movie, and I think we're in spoilers now. There's a scene in like the first 20 minutes where a shopping store gets blown up, and there's this compelling moment where a mother and a daughter are like trying to talk a terrorist out of the bombing, and then the terrorist just blows it up anyway.
That's a terrifying scene.
It is. It's a horrifying moment. It's a very well acted scene. So execution wise, I feel like, and I'm gonna butcher this. I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. I'm gonna butcher. Hang on, let me pull it back up so I get this right. Come on, Stefano Sollima. I think does a really okay. I think he did a really okay job.
He did a very serviceable job on the film. It wasn't like it was a bad it turned into like an action movie, which it seemed like some of the kind of the marketing made it out to be.
Or for me, I felt like the marketing was misleading because it kind of promoted as like the next terrifying chapter of the Sicario saga, and I'm like, I mean, after the first 30 minutes, it's not really that terrifying,
right?
And like, there's not really much built upon from the original movie, other than like the characters and their development.
Yeah, and I would say like the development of like Alejandro was probably some of the most interesting aspects of the film. How he changed. They give him a bit more depth. Sometimes it doesn't feel as consistent, I would say, because I don't understand why he would go from like a guy that like kills everyone he meets, like in the first movie, like except Emily Blunt. He even kills like kids in the first film. To he kind of has a soft spot for this one, this daughter of a cartel member. It didn't feel consistent, I would say.
What do you think of that? It's not as consistent, but or it's not consistent, but if you've noticed that, he really, in the first movie, he really does not want to kill Kate.
Yeah. There's precedent for it.
Yeah, I mean, I know I say that, and then someone's going to be like, well, he shot her, but he shot her clearly in the bulletproof plate. So clearly she would just be like disabled for like a few minutes, long enough for him to get the cop in the car and he drive away.
Yeah.
Like he clearly cares about, or he clearly has a thing about what, being paternal to women.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, yes, I know he almost did. He threatened he threatened Kate with a gun, but still.
Yeah, I don't think his intention was to shoot her.
Yeah, and I just think, so I think it's consistent that he really cares about women in this force, that women in this lifestyle, and that in a way that's paternal, if that makes any sense. And also the little girl is meant to, as a symbol of the script, is to bring out that little bit of the man that's in the in the shell of this person. Because prior to the events of the first movie, he lost his daughter and wife to the cartel, and he was like a district attorney or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not the most consistent, but because it is still an extremely violent character, and he does kill, 2 children and a woman, and in front of a family man before he kills them, like he does that, but still, it's not the most consistent. But I buy it.
Yeah.
I'll just say that I buy it.
Okay. Yeah, I would. I bought it as well.
That's a long way of me me saying I buy it.
Mm.
But yeah, but really the only thing I really wasn't in for this movie was the last 20 minutes of the movie.
The last 20 minutes, so like when spoilers.
Oh yeah, we're in spoiler.
He survives a gun shot to the face because it like shot through his mouth.
Which, and I've heard people survive that, and I've heard.
Yeah, you could probably survive that.
It's a very survivable. I'm doing the air quotes. Very survivable wound if it's treated, soon and yeah. The problem I have with it is, the movie plays it so much that he died, and right, and on top of this is not like a superhero franchise where people can just like play dead or where we can dispense a lot of disbelief. We can dispense a lot. This is kind of a more gritty, more realistic version of more hard edge version of of Mexico and but this is kind of a hard edge franchise, and so for the franchise to be like, oh, he just
he just like it knocked him out or got unconscious. Yeah, that doesn't fit the tone of the franchise. Like a big fake out like that.
And it just all feels too much like. It feels like someone in Sony said, "Can we reshoot the ending?" I don't know why it feels like the whole last 20 minutes feels like completely redone.
Yeah, it feels like a different movie for sure.
Yeah, because Mac and them, like, it does anticlimactically, and I give the movie credit. It does anticlimactically save the girl. Like it's like they go in, they shoot everybody up, and then they grab the girl. Like it's very well, it's perfectly anticlimactic because that's how, because that goes with the whole like all the violence is done in little spurts, not like long gated scenes. But
yes, it did feel very anticlimactic. Like I didn't really see the point of that. Kind of how it ended with that character. Right.
Yeah, all of it just felt very much like it all just didn't work for me, and then even as a bigger in a bigger dick move for this franchise, it ends with this kid who's been throughout the whole entire movie, basically kind of this the side plot story for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He is now. We end with him, fully in the gangster mode, and Benicio del Toro takes him in to be the next Sicario.
Yeah.
Again, this is not a superhero fucking franchise. I mean, a fucking in the first fucking movie, two people, a whole family gets shot down.
Yeah, it's. I kind of wish, he, like the kid, like I don't know, tries to. If it ended differently, I don't know why he takes him in as a Sicario. That made no sense.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense because why would, like, really the movie should end with Benicio del Toro just fucking shooting him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how the character is.
That's true to the character. You didn't understand the reasoning for that. If it ended just him it ends with him like a bang or something, that'd be a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm. It's just stuff, and that's really what brought the movie down for me is the whole last 20 minutes. Because I will say, like, up until the movie, I was with it. I was kind of in the movie's mode. I was like, yes, it's horrifying to watch. It's horrifying in this day and age to watch, immigrants getting round up, and it all feels very real. But I was still very much within the movie's, flow. I was in the tone. I was into it all. It just, that last 20 minutes just brought it down so much for me.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like we went to a completely different movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, I thought it was I thought Sicario 2 was just was a fine, solid movie, nowhere near as good as the first one. Like I'm still Gene, let me ask you this. What did you think of was the theme of the movie, or if there is any?
It's a very hard question to pin down. I don't know. I'm just kind of drawing on a blank here for Sicario too. The theme is very hard to place. I don't know. It seemed like a generational thing with like a generational theme on violence. Like just gets passed down to the next person. They kind of inherit all their like flaws and sins, like you see with the daughter, you see with the gangster kid. Like it just follows them. Kind of the violence that their parent did or whatever. I don't know. That's what I'm drawing at. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I just thought it was a movie where America has. I thought it was kind of a representation of America, like because I keep going back to how the whole plan that they had just fell apart.
Yeah,
and it just got even worse and worse as the film went on. Because now it becomes even more and more blatant that America was somehow involved.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone, and it just gets worse and worse. So to me, the idea is America has a lot of ambitious ideas on how to handle things, but then everyone just but then when it completely goes tits up in every like the whole the top American brass like just chicken out and they leave, and then the soldiers on the ground are left to basically clean it up as much as they can, to not spread basically the virus as much as possible, contain it, and ultimately the remnants of that containment affect the next generation going forward, or affect basically how the continuing war on drugs, or the continuing war for the border, or whatever war you want to say is over there. It affects it in another way that makes it even more elongated. That's what I took away from it. Yeah,
definitely. I will agree with that.
Yeah. But I mean, your idea of generation, like it gets passed on. It goes with the idea of this franchise, especially when I talk about the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
But it still kind of just feels empty. It feels.
Yeah, it does feel empty. It doesn't feel as rewarding as the watch on the first film.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that.
Yeah, and instead of feeling bone chilled like I did with the ending of the first one, I just felt meh.
Yeah, very not a very solid ending. It kind of wraps up.
Oh no, this is a setup for the third movie.
Yeah.
Like
it's sequel bait.
Do we? Okay, Gene, let me ask you this: do we really need a third movie?
No, I mean, you don't need a third movie, but it certainly, it certainly ended teasing it.
Because that's how I felt. Those feelings I felt were that because after the first one, I think this is why it was good that Denis Villeneuve didn't come back, is because I felt like Denis said everything he wanted to say.
Yeah, with the first movie.
Right, and really all that really needed to be said. I feel like what Denis and Taylor Sheridan were going for was perfect where the movie went, where it ended. It's perfectly fine. Let's just let's leave while well enough alone. And I think and I think Sheridan kind of missed that part, is to leave well enough alone.
Right. Well, I mean, if someone offers you probably a crap ton of money to do another one, it's hard to say no.
Probably. I mean, I was actually looking at the budgets for both movies, and there's only a $5 million increase.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first one cost around $30 million, and this one costs about $35. But originally this was supposed to be a Bleecker Street Lionsgate release. So,
what happened there? Do you
know? Just to get into it real quickly, I'm not quite sure all the mechanics of what happened. But all I will say is there were two movies that Bleecker Street and Lionsgate didn't really want to distribute, called at the time they were called Granite Mountain and Soldado. And they were both picked up by Sony for a lucrative deal to distribute those movies. And that's why, and Granite Mountain became Only the Brave. That was Joseph Kosinski's movie. And then Soldado became Sicario 2, Day of the Soldado. And that's why the marketing campaign for Sicario 2 looks extremely different from the first movie.
Yeah.
It looked like Sicario 2's poster looks like one of those Pirates of the Caribbean posters.
It does, yeah.
Like it looks, which is different from the first movie, which was like minimal, like low budget, low indie film marketing. And this one's like promoted like as a blockbuster.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that's what happens when that's what happens when you sell your movie to Sony. But hey, the movie got released. That's good.
No, good for them.
Yeah, good for them. That would completely suck if that movie just sat in that and Granite Mountain just sat in limbo.
Right.
Yeah, I think one of my theories that happened, and I don't remember this for a fact, but I think maybe like Bleecker Street or something like just didn't have the money to distribute the movie, so
it could that could have very well have been the case.
I think also it didn't help that Logan Lucky wasn't like a huge hit.
Yeah,
they were hoping for. So, so I think those combinations, I think that's what hurt the movie the most, or basically led to the Sony and Columbia owning them. So, but yeah, I mean, Sicario 2 still works. I'm curious. I haven't looked into it, but I'm curious as if the ending was reshot at all, because it just feels so like it just doesn't feel like this franchise.
Yeah, it does feel like it's from another movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what's in
store for them.
Sicario 3.
Yeah.
But apparently, and if I'm mispronouncing anything, let me know. Stefano Sollima is not coming back for the third movie, if there is a third movie. Mm-hmm. And Taylor Sheridan is kind of busy at the moment because he's currently show running the show Yellowstone for Paramount. So we'll see what happens in the next few months on Sicario 3 front.
Yeah, we will see.
Mm-hmm. So with that, Gene, do you have any more thoughts on Sicario 2 or the Sicario franchise?
No, I think I'm good. Like, I think I've said all I could say about this, the franchise.
All right. And that's it for me. Gene, with that said, where can the good people find you?
Yes, you could find me on Twitter and Instagram, G9892. Follow the Waffle Press as well. Look for it on iTunes and YouTube and SoundCloud.
Cool. And when we mean good people, we mean the Twitter followers that do not like berate James Mangold, Ryan Johnson, Christopher McQuarrie for making like solid movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you people can follow CinemaSins at CinemaSins.
Oh God.
Yeah. So so you wonderful folks that appreciate good movies, good franchise movies.
Yeah.
You can follow me at Movie Kale on Twitter, and you can also follow the show at the Youth Critic. That's where you can get all the updates and whatnot on the podcast. And you can also follow the channel that distributes this podcast at KHD Network. I'll have links for the Waffle Press and Gene's other work in the description. And also try and see if there is a link to the Sicario podcast we did a long time ago. Because I do remember talking about it. I don't know.
Remember it in the archives somewhere?
It's somewhere. That was a long time ago, 100 episodes ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll try and look for it again before I post it. But yeah, so thanks everyone. We will be back with you soon, very soon, with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Your objective is to start a war between the Mexican cartels, not with the Mexican government.
This girl was witness to the mission, correct?
Yes, sir.
We can't risk her falling into the wrong hands. Clean the scene.
They want me to cut ties. You gotta get rid of her.
I can't do that.
Don't put me in that situation.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm gonna need a strike team, 2 Blackhawks, drones with attack capability.
Where's the coup?
Mexico.
You have no reason to trust me. But trusting me is how you're gonna survive.
Good luck.
Luck doesn't live on this side of the border.